Welcome to Super Simple Security Principles, where you learn how to think about online security, not just which apps to install. I'm Nick Jackson, here to learn along with you from my good buddy and master guardian, Makani Mason. Woo! Let's go. This is episode 103. Email's best friend. And is that aliases?
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing. Email's best friend is alias. All right. You're going to have to explain this to me. I'm ready to roll. Why is email best friend alias?
Right. So, tiny bit of context for that is, as a reminder, one of the big flaws of email is that anybody can send you an email.
Yeah.
That, unlike other most messaging platforms, you have to you have to friend them before you can message them, right?
Right.
But email predates that, so they don't have to know who you are. You don't have to know they are. You may not know. Well, you probably don't know how they know what your email address is.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest flaws why it enables phishing and all sorts of things. So eventually I'm going to fix that and solve it. I'm going to fix the email system itself and solve this the perfect way. But until then, aliases are one of the most powerful tools to solve that. And that's why I call them email's best friend.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we've talked about them before, but I don't remember all the terms and how long. But I guess that the alias thing is not ringing a bell to you so far, right?
If I recall correctly,
Yeah.
we're gonna go back years. I feel like we were talking about aliases and things like that. It's pretty easy to fish somebody's name, or guess an email address of, hey, whatever,
Yeah.
McConaugheyMason.com.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Yeah.
Maybe not. That's kind of more of a unique name, but my name, if I use just my name at gmail.com, I could get fished a little more. Am I on the right track, or am I headed down train station path you don't want me to do? You're like, no, put it back in drive.
No, I mean, kind of, sort of, but yeah, not exactly. So
Okay. Well, enlighten me then.
yeah. Well, so an email alias is very parallel to human aliases, and it seems like that's kind of where your brain was going, right?
Right.
So a human alias is another name we're known by.
Right.
And the purpose, though, is to avoid exposing our true name, or in the case of email, like our real email address, right?
Right.
So an email alias is simply an email address that will ultimately deliver email to us, but without exposing our real email address.
Ooh, I like that one.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we've talked about it in several episodes at different times, but starting today, we're actually going to do probably, I can't remember, like 5 or 6 episodes, 7, I can't remember. Anyway, just about email aliases, because they are such an important tool, and they provide so many benefits that we're going to really cover them exhaustively, demystify them, make sure everybody understands all the basics of email aliases.
I love it.
So, what we want to focus on today is the benefits. Well, actually, there's 2 things I want to explain. So there's 3 distinct types of email aliases.
Okay.
And a bunch of different ways to use them. I'll also have to give a caveat, and we'll talk about this more next episode, but these 3 classifications, if you go search them on the internet, you're not necessarily going to find them. There's not really a super, like a lot of things with tech, super established vocabulary. So these are my groupings and typings, whatever, to try to make them understandable, but just be aware of that. So, and there's a lot of different ways to use aliases. And so the specific benefits you get, of course, depend how much you use them, how you use them. But there are 6 kind of high-level benefits that are possible with email aliases.
Okay.
And so we'll dive into specifics in the episodes, but the high-level one, there's privacy.
Okay.
And one very simple example of that is we've talked about data breaches a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if every place out there, or most places out there, have a different email address for you, an email alias, and you give a different email alias to every website, then when one of those gets exposed, it's a whole lot
It's no
harder to
big
tie
deal.
all your information together rather than a universal email address that ties everything about you together, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Example, every time I give my email address to my doctor's office, I'm like, how secure is your security? You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
And with the data breach news, we have the answer to that question.
Not secure at all.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for exposing our data, hospitals. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, but they're not unique in that. I mean, every place. It's systemic. That's the problem.
You know
It's
what I think?
it's
This is
the
going to be
email
Nick
system.
spouting out.
All
They
right.
need to be responsible. If they're going to grab our information and hold on to it, somebody needs to hold them accountable. Not just, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, our system failed and we let people steal your stuff. No, that's bullcrap. Come
Yeah.
on. Where's the attorney out there that wants to get a lawsuit going? You
Well,
know? File against these breaches, man. These guys aren't being secure. I'm getting tired of it.
fair enough. Yeah. Well, I want to solve the system, so everybody. No. Yeah. But anyway, I hear
You
you.
ought to solve it. I want
I'm
retribution, man. I'm ready to punch back.
fair enough. But see, the thing is, it's the bad guys who are stealing it that I feel like are the ones I really want to, and so I'd rather just build better walls. But
That's a probably better point. Keep the bad
so
guys out versus punishing the people that just can't keep our data safe.
yeah, because they're not malicious. They're not. They're just. It is hard. It legitimately is very hard. Tech is tricky, and I mean, they're doctors because they're doctors. I mean, that's their skill set, not tech, and they're just one industry. They just happen to be a painful one because of it's an extra sensitive subject matter and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel your pain. But so benefit number 2,
Yes.
spam control. Because what you can do is if you have a different alias with every website, as soon as one website starts spamming you or they sell that email address, then you can delete that alias and have it no longer go to you.
Nice.
Benefit number 3 is organization. When your email comes in, and not everybody's going to care about this. Lots of people are, I know lots of people who just throw everything in the inbox or just archive or whatever. But I have some family members that are very organization minded, and lots of people out there, and having very specific aliases, it just gives you another tool for identifying where the email is coming from and organizing it. So,
Yeah.
and that, it's kind of minor from a security perspective, but anyway, it's part of the whole picture.
Yeah.
And the specific aspect of that I really like is I'm separating out as a 4th benefit that I call tracking. Because for me, one thing that I want to know, and I've had this, it's been very interesting over the years, is when I've given those away and then I've started getting spam email from specific, it was clearly not from the person I gave it to. I had
Right.
a home inspector one time who I gave the an email address to, and it was specific to him, and he didn't realize it, and he sold it. It was pretty clear, like I got some advertisements for a bunch of services, like it was something that
He had sold.
he had monetized,
Yep.
the email addresses he got from inspections he did, and so I was like, well, okay, that's interesting to know. I don't want to work with him again.
Right.
So I like to know how it happened, how people got my email address. That's of a lot of value to me personally.
Yeah.
Security. There is actually a little bit of a direct, well, yeah, actually a pretty significant direct security benefit. Again, going back to those data breaches,
Yeah.
as we've talked about, what they do a lot of times is take your email address and password and try that at other websites. And obviously, we advise you don't reuse your password. That prevents that. But if you also don't reuse your email address, so to speak, in terms of, use email aliases, then that also makes it impossible.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
And so it's also, and if you do both of them, then it just ups the challenge level all the more. So um, I really like that benefit.
Okay.
And then the last one is phishing. And there's a lot to do with this. This requires, again, the unique alias for each website, and then you have some simple rules. We talked about how to implement this in Fastmail in episode 88. And obviously, we will be talking about this in the workshop. We'll be doing guides. I understand it might be daunting just hearing about it, but just know that done right, it can be a huge benefit. Just super, super strong protection against phishing.
Yeah.
Against against all phishing in your email. Like it makes just super excited about that one. And
Right.
there's tools, not only the workshop, but there's a tool that I have envisioned that we can build that will help people make it easier to implement this as well. It'll just kind of be
Nice.
an add-on to your email service until we can, fix the system itself. And so just really excited about that. But it all starts with aliases.
Okay.
So, yeah, those are the benefits. That's why we're doing a series on aliases.
Okay. So you're ready?
I'm ready.
Let's recap those benefits. This is going to be my recap. Okay.
Sounds good.
Recap number 1. What is it?
Privacy.
Okay. So we get increased privacy. 2.
Spam control.
Spam control. Okay. So we're limiting the crap that we see in our inbox. 3.
Organization.
Organization, especially for those people who like to keep things organized. You could keep files, you could keep records better. Good job. 4.
Tracking.
Tracking. Nice. So you'll be able to track down those guys that sold your information, which I absolutely loved. And last but not least.
No, not last. Security.
Oh, security. That's right. Excuse me. Enhanced security. And do we have one more?
Yeah, phishing. Which obviously is security as well, but a different one. The other security is against stolen credentials, and yeah.
That's a lot of big ticket items regarding email.
Yeah.
That's a lot of big ticket items. Like, if you didn't hear one thing on that list, like just one of those things should get you to tune in for the rest of our episodes on aliases. Like, really.
Yeah. I agree. And it's one that most people I know have never heard of them, haven't used them. So it's also very underutilized and just not very well understood and recognized. So
Yeah. Awesome. Dude, I loved it, man. That was good. Oh, wait, your recap.
No, I did already.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. Are you ready to take action and wondering where to start? Get my Bulletproof My Identity Starter Kit for free. The 7 most vital layers of protection everyone needs. I'll send you one step at a time and help you if you get stuck. Just go to bulletproofmyid.com and enter your name and email, and I will send you the first step. Again, that's bulletproofmyid.com.